We have the Houston Texans, who a lot of us think are going to do well. We have them finishing the ECG record first in the division. Sora, you're the only one having not there, but you have them at second. The ECG record second. Is 12-5. Tony, you're very high on the Texans. Let's hear your 14-3 explanation.
Yeah.
Woo, boy, let me tell you about these Texans right here.
You all know how long I've been waiting for this. That's where it was going, brother.
I know. Having CJ Stroud coming off of that rookie season, I don't think there's a sophomore slump here. At all. Joe, he can be. I have these guys in my, spoiler alert, AFC Championship game this year. They offensively, they came in.
The eye in the sky said no. The eye in the sky said no.
Bringing in guys like Joe Mixon and Stephon Diggs to help out this offense when they already had guys like Nico Collins and Tank Dell over there. It just strengthens their offense that much more, especially with the experience that Stephon Diggs has. Like adding that kind of like firepower to put under CJ Stroud is going to be incredible this year. And their defense, I still love. I love Will Anderson. They got some question marks, but overall, I think they are 100% one of the best teams in the NFL. Point blank. Period. And betting odds are right. You should try. You should go with that ECG record.
Always go with the ECG record, as we say around here.
Yeah, I mean, I can't complain. Mine is just basically off of the fact of you just got to wonder if CJ Stroud is going to have the sophomore slump. Well, I think hold up. Brain is shutting down. I don't think he's going to have a sophomore slump, but I don't know if he's going to come swinging out the gates exactly like how he did last year. We bring up, stacked wide receiver room. Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins, Tank Dell, Robert Woods, Noah Brown, John Mechie, Xavier Hutchinson. There's 7 guys right there. Tight end room, Dalton Schultz, Cade Stover. It's all on paper. Yes, it should be a 14-3 team. There are just some tough there are just some tough games in the schedule. And again, I'm very high on Indy. That's the only reason I don't have them at number 1. I just
real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say, whenever a team drafts for depth,
yeah,
that's nasty work.
Did you just Google image search that real quick, or
no? He's had it on.
Oh yeah, you have posted it on Twitter. Never mind. Yeah, I've commented on those. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, whenever you draft for depth, your team's already nasty. Like they drafted their starters last year and the year before, and now those guys have stepped up to the plate. And the only one that needs to do work this year, I'm telling y'all, if he can stay healthy, statistically could have been the best corner last year. Go look at his stats. When he was in the games, yes, he was absolutely incredible, bro. If he stays healthy, Tony might be right. They might find themselves in the AFC Championship. It might not be too far off. I don't think it's this is their year, but I just want to make that known. When you draft for depth and not starters,
yeah,
that's nasty work.
And right, that is kind of the biggest question is the cornerback room, because you've got Derek Stingley Jr., who, when healthy, yes, statistically is one of the best corners. Kamari Lassiter, drafted him in the 3rd this year. He's a rookie. You got to see what has to be done. Desmond King, kind of out of his prime, up and down. If Derek Stingley goes down, you got CJ Henderson. He hasn't really proven a lot yet. So my biggest question mark is just going to be cornerback room. And, how well that wide receiver room is going to mesh, because that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
So that's my only gripe. It's a very small gripe, though. I mean, again, these guys can literally go 14-3.
Yeah, there's no denying the talent, especially on that wide receiver room. Noah Brown, Stephon Diggs. I mean, you named them all. My biggest thing is not just like the amount of mouths to feed, but
former Dallas players.
Sad.
I guess the cohesion that group had, and then inserting a proven diva, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing, right? I personally, I want my top receiver to want the ball, to voice his concerns, to give his input to the quarterback, right? It's good to have an ego. But Stephon Diggs, I could just see that, obviously I think he'll be productive, but I could see that maybe souring, not like the mood, but like just the camaraderie that group has. It could either really help or it may not go as planned. But again, there's no denying the talent that Stephon Diggs is and what he brings to this team. Dalton Schultz played like an incredible tight end last year, and then you have Brevin Jordan and then add Cade Stover in the draft. Like, come on. You trade for Joe Mixon and have Dameon Pierce now as a number 2. That's really impressive. And then you bring in Cam Akers on a flyer, and he's looking good in the preseason. I mean, look, a running back trio of Joe Mixon, Dameon Pierce, and Cam Akers. Like,
Khalid,
I know that.
Khalid, don't be fooled. Don't do it. Don't do it.
I'm telling you, like, I'm not saying that Cam Akers is a world breaker. He doesn't need to be. He's the third running back on this depth chart between Joe Mixon and Dameon Pierce.
He's looked really good. I had to give it to him.
He has. Great. And even if it's you just chop it up to the preseason, like, he does not have to be a Pro Bowl player, right? Like, like Joe Mixon, all he has to do is be solid this year, okay? Like, this team, when it came to running the ball, wasn't great last year. They were one of the worst in the entire league. Trading for him and even adding, Cam Akers on a prove-it deal is sending a clear message to the rest of the league that they plan on taking some of the weight off of CJ Stroud's shoulders. He's going into year 2. DeMeco Ryans recognizes that he can't put everything on his shoulders. They've invested in the offensive line in previous years, right? Kenyon Green, a former first-round pick out of Texas A&M, back from injury, right? They're expecting him to slide right in at guard and start and contribute. This offense, it should be more balanced with the additions of Joe Mixon and Stephon Diggs, right? I know y'all have mentioned the sophomore slump for CJ Stroud. I wouldn't say that like he could have a sophomore slump compared to what everyone thinks he's going to do, right? Like, I think he's a very talented player, and he could end up being a top 10 quarterback even after this year. I just don't think he's going to be a game breaker and be in the conversation of like, oh, he's already a top 3 quarterback in the league, right? Like, I don't think he's going to enter into that tier of quarterbacks this year. I'm not saying he can't in the future, but I think that this year maybe he comes a little closer to being down to earth, but I still think he's going to have a very good year, especially with the weapons he has around him. The defense, I mean, it's DeMeco Ryans, like, being a former incredible linebacker. I mean, especially when he was an Eagle, I loved him. He's invested a lot, especially in that front 7. I mean, Will Anderson, Jerry Hughes is still productive, right? He adds Derek Barnett and Mario Edwards and Daniil Hunter. And then at linebacker, you have Christian Harris, Azeez Al-Shaair, and Henry To'oTo'o, who, I mean, you add Al-Shaair in new this year, and the other 2 are both former Alabama products. I do think that they could add more to the interior of that defense, right? I think they could still use another linebacker. I think they need another D tackle or 2. And then their secondary, right? Derek Stingley has the potential to be one of the top corners in this entire league. Jeff Okudah, I wish he could just stay healthy. And Jalen Petrie, I really like out at safety. Kalen Bullock and Kamari Lassiter were both drafted, and they still have Jimmy Ward out there. So they have a lot of dudes. I still think they need to add like either another corner or maybe even like in addition to that, another safety. So I think there's still a few pieces away on defense from really having this unit is like one of the best in the league type of moments, right? So I think that the offense on paper looks incredible. The defense looks good, maybe even great. But I do think that the secondary, outside of Stingley, is giving me a little bit of reason for concern. We saw that when they played the Browns and Joe Flacco was, working them, right? And look, this defense, I think, or not this defense, this team as a whole, I think they're a really good team, right? Like I have them at 11-6, and I do understand like the reasoning for 14 wins. I just don't think they're going to be game breakers yet. This team is certainly on that trajectory, right? I just don't think they're quite in that tier of teams like Kansas City, San Fran, Philly. Like I think they're just below them. They can absolutely compete with those teams, maybe even beat them. But I think holistically, I think they're going to have some hiccups this year, I think, which is why I gave them 11-6. But look, if they go 13, 14 wins, it would not shock me one bit.
Yeah.
That's the Texans.
Yeah.
I mean, 12-5 as an ECG.
I would definitely agree. Take the ECG pick to the bank on this one.
No, for sure. I mean, 12-5, that's pretty hard to argue against. I mean, I know that, we're all a couple wins away, but 12-5, I think that's very reliable. I think I know, Sora, you mentioned you're a little higher in Indy, which is why you didn't have them at top of the division, but yeah. I think you can bank that they're going to win the AFC South this year.
Pretty much, yeah.
And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and ring the bell notification so you're always notified.
All right, well, the 12 oh my god. That's what I'm saying. At this point, like, bro, you just gotta just be you, bro. Just be you, bro.